The silence of Kepler 442b was unsettling. For nearly a decade, the human colony here had been a success story. Clean water, fertile soil, stable climate. The colony was supposed to be humanity's proud foothold in the stars. But 6 months ago, the transmission stopped. No distress calls, no technical updates, no personal messages. Just silence. At first, Earth Command thought it was a malfunction. But after weeks turned to months, they had no choice but to send someone to investigate. That's how the USS Eidolon found itself cutting through the void. 12 crew members. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, each handpicked for what might be a rescue, or something far worse. Captain Nathaniel Briggs stood at the viewport, his reflection caught in the glass as the planet came into view. Kepler 442b hung against the stars, oceans glittering blue, forests sprawling green. From orbit, it looked alive, too alive. Beside him, Dr. Evelyn Carter, the team's lead xenobiologist, adjusted her headset. Still nothing from surface comms, not even a ping. Captain, it's like the colony never existed. Briggs folded his arms, his jaw tight. The colony had over 8,000 people, families, farmers, engineers. They don't just disappear. Their shuttle descended smoothly, slicing through thick atmosphere until the colony domes came into view. From above, everything looked intact. Hydroponic farms glowing, solar panels shimmering, buildings untouched. But the landing pad was deserted. No docking crew, no signal flares, just silence. The shuttle's ramp lowered with a hiss and the crew stepped out, weapons and scanners raised. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds, a broad-shouldered Marine with years of combat under his belt, swept the area with his rifle. "This is too quiet, I don't like it." Dr. Carter crouched near a terminal by the landing zone. Her gloved hand wiped away dust from the screen. Power's running on backup. Systems were drained deliberately, not destroyed. Chief Engineer Jacob Miller tapped his wrist scanner. Picking up low-frequency energy spikes, not ours, not anything I've ever seen. Briggs's eyes narrowed. "Log everything. No one splits up until we know what happened here." The deeper they explored, the stranger it became. Inside the colonists' quarters, meals were left half-eaten, tables set for dinner. A child's toy lay abandoned in the middle of the corridor. In the medical wing, diagnostic machines hummed faintly, though the chairs sat empty. No signs of panic. No signs of struggle, just absence. Reynolds swore under his breath. "Where are the bodies? You lose power, you panic, you get attacked, you fight back. But this is like they just walked away." In the colony square, the ground was split by something unnatural. A massive fissure tore through the concrete, edges blackened as though scorched. It plunged deep into the earth, its darkness swallowing the beam of their lights. Miller frowned at his readings. This wasn't in the colony's blueprints. Seismic activity didn't cause this either. It's too precise. Dr. Carter stared into the abyss, unease tightening her voice. "That's not a crack, that's an opening." Captain Briggs felt a chill run through him. And whatever came out might still be down there. That night, they set up base inside the command. Hub emergency lights buzzed faintly. The crew ate in silence, listening to the hum of old machinery. Just past midnight, the ground trembled. A low vibration rolled through the building, rattling glasses and equipment. Dr. Carter jerked awake, scanning her instruments. "It's coming. From beneath us, something's active down there." Before Briggs could reply, the monitors lit up. Symbols appeared across every screen. Spirals, jagged lines, geometric patterns, pulsing in a rhythm that almost felt like language. "Miller," whispered, his voice shaking. "That's not a malfunction. That's communication." Reynolds raised his rifle toward the screen as if he could shoot the symbols away. "Or it's a warning." By morning, the decision was made. They would descend into the fissure. Ropes, lights, scanners, every precaution taken. One by one, the crew lowered themselves into the abyss. The walls weren't just rock. Crystalline veins shimmered faintly, carrying currents of light. Symbols etched into stone spiraled endlessly, repeating with impossible precision. Dr. Carter reached out, tracing the carvings with her glove. This is ancient, older than humanity, older than Earth. The comms hissed. Static erupted in their earpieces, followed by a voice. Not human, not clear. A whisper that slithered into their bones. Return, awaken, guardians. Reynolds nearly dropped his rifle. Jesus Christ, did you hear that? Briggs tightened his grip on the rope. Keep moving. At the bottom, they found it. A door, 50 feet high, forged of metal that shimmered like liquid and stone all at once. The surface was alive with glowing sigils, each pulsing like a heartbeat. Dr. Carter's breath hitched. This isn't natural, this is a vault. Captain Briggs stepped forward, his hand brushing the surface. The metal was warm, thrumming like it recognized him. The door stirred. Groaning thunder echoed through the cavern as the massive slab shifted. Dust rained from above. The symbols ignited in blinding light. The crew stumbled back, weapons raised. The vault cracked open, just enough for shadows to leak through. Shapes moved in the glow, limbs bending in ways no human body could. Eyes glowed like burning coals. And then, a whisper inside their minds. The Guardians have awoken. The crew froze, staring into the darkness. For the first time, his rifle steady, though his pulse hammered in his throat. Around him, the crew formed a defensive line, their lights cutting into the widening crack. Shadows slid across the surface like liquid, retreating when touched by the glow, only to creep back the moment darkness returned. And then came the whisper, not through their comms, not through the air, inside their minds. The Guardians, awaken! Dr. Evelyn Carter staggered back, clutching her helmet. It's inside my head, I can't... Hold the line, Briggs barked. Eyes forward. The vault shuddered again, then stilled. The crack remained, but whatever was inside no longer pushed. The silence that followed was worse than the sound. Hours later, the team regrouped inside the fissures, base camp. Emergency lights threw weak halos across ancient stone. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, Lieutenant Mark Reynolds broke the silence. I don't care if that door hides God himself. We seal this fissure, torch the colony, and leave. End of story. Dr. Carter's voice was tight but controlled. You saw those markings, Mark. This isn't just alien. It's pre-human. Do you realize what this could mean? The colony didn't just vanish. They found something. Maybe they opened it. Reynolds glared. And maybe it ate them. Chief Engineer Jacob Miller tapped his wrist scanner. We're missing the obvious. That energy signature is off the charts. This whole vault is powered by something, and it's still active. If we can trace the source, we might figure out what the hell we're dealing with. Briggs rubbed a hand over his face. He had led squads through battlefield hellscapes, insurgent traps, orbital sieges, but nothing felt like this. We'll follow the power trail, carefully. Nobody separates. They moved deeper into the fissure. The path sloped downward into a network of corridors cut into the rock. No human hand had shaped these tunnels. The walls curved unnaturally smooth, like the inside of a colossal machine. Light pulsed faintly through crystalline veins, guiding them deeper, heartbeat after heartbeat. Dr. Carter whispered, her voice filled with awe. This isn't just a vault. It's a facility, maybe a city. Miller adjusted his scanner. Readings. Confirm. The entire structure is kilometers wide. What we're standing in could just be the surface layer. Reynolds muttered. Great. So we're inside an alien anthill. Exactly where I wanted to spend my evening. They reached a chamber. Massive, circular, with a domed ceiling so high their lights couldn't touch it. In the center stood a pillar of black stone, wrapped in glowing symbols that shifted when observed. No two eyes saw the same shape. The moment they entered, the whispering returned. Faint, unclear, as though the walls themselves breathed. Chosen, memory, return. Dr. Carter stumbled forward, eyes locked on the pillar. It's calling. Do you hear it? It's trying to speak. Reynolds caught her arm, yanking her back. The hell it is, stay away from it. But Briggs stepped closer, cautious. He raised his light toward the pillar. The symbol shifted again, and for a split second Briggs swore he saw words in English. His name. Then it was gone. Suddenly, their comms crackled. A voice burst through, high-pitched with static. Not alien this time. Human. Help us, please, someone. The crew froze. Dr. Carter gasped. That's a colony channel. Briggs keyed his mic. This is Captain Nathaniel Briggs of the USS Eidolon. Identify yourself. The voice came, again broken, desperate. They took... We can't... Not safe. Shadows. Everywhere. Then silence. Reynolds swore. That was a survivor. Miller checked his scanner. Signal came from deeper inside, but... Captain, the readings. Down there are unstable. Radiation, energy spikes, things I can't even name. Briggs clenched his jaw. The logical part of him screamed to turn back, seal the fissure, and leave. But he had sworn an oath, no one left behind. We're going after them, he said, as they descended further, the air grew heavier. The whispers sharpened, layering over one another until it felt like hundreds of voices spoke at once. Too quiet to understand, too loud to ignore. Their lights flickered. Batteries drained faster than they should. Equipment glitched, compasses spun in circles. Then the shadows moved. At first it was subtle, a ripple across the far wall. Then another, slithering across the ceiling. Figures just out of reach. Shapes that looked human one second and monstrous the next. Reynolds fired a burst. The rounds tore into the wall, sparking against stone. The shadows dissolved, then reformed. Dr. Carter screamed, "They're not solid, they're projections." "No," Miller said, voice shaking. "They're energy constructs. Guardians." The word hung heavy in the air. The same word the whispers had spoken. They ran, down twisting corridors, through chambers carved with shifting sigils, chased by shadows that clawed at the edges of light. Every step echoed like thunder. Every breath came ragged and panicked. Finally, they stumbled into another chamber, smaller, enclosed. At its center lay something impossible. A pod, glass, cracked but intact, humming with the same alien energy that powered the vault. And inside, a human figure. Dr. Carter pressed to the glass, her eyes wide. "It's one of the colonists." The figure stirred weakly, eyes fluttering open. Lips moved, forming silent words. Then, faintly, a whisper leaked. Through the pod speakers, "You shouldn't have come." The chamber doors slammed shut. The walls blazed with light. The shadows poured in, surrounding the crew, and the whispers, no longer faint, rose in unison, filling their skulls, drowning their thoughts. The Guardians have returned. Judgment begins. Briggs raised his rifle, heart pounding. For the chamber shook as the doors sealed, cutting the crew off from their escape. Captain Nathaniel Briggs raised his rifle, trying to track the shadows that slithered across the walls. They weren't physical, not in the way he understood. Energy, forms, bending and reshaping like smoke in a storm. Their glowing eyes fixed on the humans, unblinking, patient. Inside the pod, the colonist weakly pressed a hand to the glass. His lips moved again. This time the speakers crackled clearer. "You shouldn't have opened it." Dr. Evelyn Carter leaned closer, her voice trembling. Who are you? What happened here?" The colonist's eyes rolled back, his voice breaking into static. "Guardians. War. Not safe." Then, the pod went dark. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds fired a burst into the nearest shadow. The rounds passed through harmlessly, striking stone. The shadow flickered, then reformed, advancing closer. "They don't go down," he snarled. Chief Engineer Jacob Miller adjusted his scanner rapidly. "Wait, look at the walls." The chamber. Walls were alive with shifting sigils, pulsing in rhythm with the shadow's movements. Each pulse grew faster as the creatures closed in. Carter's eyes widened. "They're being controlled by the symbols. It's It's some kind of command. Script. Then shut it down, Briggs barked. I don't know how. Just when the shadows surged, the pod lit up again. A surge of energy shot outward, rippling across the chamber. The shadows froze, their glowing eyes dimming. Then the walls changed. The shifting symbols locked into new patterns, spirals within spirals, forming something coherent at last. Sequence. A story. Miller's scanner beeped wildly. Captain, this isn't random, it's a record, a database. Briggs tightened his grip on his weapon. Translate it. Fast. Hours seemed to pass as Carter and Miller worked furiously, tracing the shifting patterns, piecing together fragments of meaning. Bit by bit, a picture emerged, one that made the blood run cold in every vein. Carter's voice was barely above, a whisper. This place isn't just a vault, it's a graveyard. The story unfolded in light, eons ago. Long before humanity walked the earth, the galaxy burned with war. Civilizations vast and powerful clashed, wielding technologies that bent reality itself. The war had no name, no single cause, and only endless destruction, and at the center of it, the Guardians. They were machines, or perhaps something more, constructs forged by an ancient race to protect their worlds. But in the chaos of war, protection turned to judgment. The Guardians deemed entire species unworthy, erasing them to preserve balance. And then, silence. The civilizations fell. The war ended not with victory, but extinction. All that remained were the Guardians, slumbering in their vaults, waiting for the day they would awaken again. The symbols shifted, showing something that chilled Carter to the core. A planet, blue and green, familiar. Earth. Her voice broke. Captain, the Guardians know us. Humanity, somehow. We're part of this story. Miller's face drained of color. If the Guardians judged civilizations before, then what happens when they judge us? Reynolds slammed a fist against the wall. To hell with judgment. We blow this place sky high and get out before these things decide we're next. But Briggs stood frozen, staring at the shifting records. One symbol repeated again and again. An unfamiliar spiral intersected with a human-like figure. His figure. It was almost as if the story had been waiting for him. Before they could react, the chamber lights blazed. The shadows stirred again, rising like smoke given form. But instead of attacking, they pulled back, retreating into the walls, into the darkness. The vault door at the far end split open with a grinding roar. A path had been made for them. Dr. Carter's voice was unsteady. They're letting us through. Briggs felt a chill crawl down his spine. Not letting. Guiding. The new corridor stretched endlessly, lined with towering statues carved from the same crystalline stone. Each statue depicted a different species. Alien forms with wings, claws, tendrils. Civilizations long gone. All of them kneeling before a towering figure of shadow. At the end of the corridor stood another chamber, this one larger, emptier. A dais rose at its center, and above it hovered a sphere of light humming with power. Miller's scanner spiked red. That's it. That's the core. Whatever powers this place is in that sphere. As they approached, the whispers returned, louder than ever, not fragmented now, clear. Witness the forgotten war. Witness the fate of those before you. The chamber plunged into darkness. And then, visions. The crew found themselves standing not in stone halls but on battlefields of fire. Skies torn open by fleets of ships the size of continents. Cities crumbling as weapons of light split planets apart. The Guardians, towering figures of shadow and flame marching through ruins as civilization screamed and burned. Dr. Carter clutched her head, tears streaming down her face. It's a memory. They're showing us what happened. Reynolds cursed, firing his rifle uselessly into the vision. Make it stop. But the visions only intensified. Species after species wiped away. Endless destruction. Until finally, the stars themselves dimmed, leaving only silence. And in that silence, one last image, Earth still untouched, still alive. The whispers spoke as one. The last seed, the final trial. The visions shattered. The crew collapsed, gasping for air, trembling on the chamber floor. Briggs forced himself up, staring at the sphere of light. His voice was low, but steady. They're telling us humanity was spared. We're the last chance, and now, they're here to decide if we deserve to survive. Dr. Carter looked at him horrified. Captain, this isn't just about the colony anymore, it's about our entire species. Reynolds spat on the ground. Then I say we fight. If these things think they get to decide whether we live or die, they've got another thing coming. But Miller shook his head. You don't understand. These Guardians wiped out civilizations with fleets that make ours look like toys. You can't fight them. The only way we survive is if we prove we're different. Briggs clenched his fists. Different. Worthy. The last seed. The path forward was clear, but it led straight into the jaws of the unknown. At the far end of the chamber, another door began to open. Beyond it, the shadows gathered, waiting, and the whispers rose again, unyielding, final. The judgment begins. The door ground open, stone and metal shrieking like thunder in the cavern. Captain Nathaniel Briggs tightened his grip on his rifle. Behind him, Dr. Evelyn Carter, Lieutenant Mark Reynolds, and Chief Engineer Jacob Miller waited in tense silence, their breath echoing inside helmets. Beyond the threshold, darkness pooled like liquid, thicker than shadow, alive with faint movement. The whispers rose again, no longer faint but sharp, each word clear as a blade. Judgment begins. Then the first Guardian stepped out. It was taller than a man, armored in obsidian plates that rippled like molten glass. Its body was neither fully mechanical nor fully flesh. A hybrid, a weapon built for war. Its face was a blank mask of light, glowing eyes burning like white fire. Reynolds instinctively raised his rifle and fired. Bullets tore into the creature's chest, sparking, shattering chunks of black plating. But the Guardian did not fall. It staggered once, then let out a sound that was less a roar and more a vibration that rattled their bones. Briggs shouted, "Fall back, form up." The team retreated into the chamber, firing as they moved. The Guardian advanced with deliberate steps, each footfall cracking stone beneath it. Dr. Carter's voice trembled over comms. "It's not killing us outright, it's testing us." "Testing us how?" Reynolds snapped, slamming another magazine into his rifle. Before she could answer, the walls around them erupted. From the stone, more shadows peeled themselves, free, condensing into solid forms. 2, 3. Then 6 Guardians now stalked the chamber surrounding the humans. Miller cursed, fumbling with his scanner. "Captain, they're drawing energy directly from the core. They can keep regenerating as long as that sphere is active." Briggs ducked behind a fallen pillar, breathing hard. His instincts screamed to fight, but every bullet felt like throwing stones into a hurricane. They needed something else. Something more. One Guardian leapt forward, swinging a blade of pure light that materialized from its arm. Reynolds barely rolled aside as the blade carved a smoking trench through solid stone. He scrambled up, growling, "Tell me again how we're supposed to survive this?" Carter suddenly shouted, "Wait! The symbols, look!" All across the walls, the glowing sigils shifted again, forming sequences. Not random this time, patterns, instructions. "It's a trial," Carter breathed. "They're forcing us to activate it. Humans can interact with this technology, that's why they're not killing us. They want to see if we can learn." Miller's eyes widened as his scanner aligned. "She's right, Captain, if we trigger the sequence, it might disable them, or at least prove we're whatever they want us to be." Briggs made the call. Instantly. "Do it, Reynolds, you're on me. Buy them time." Chaos erupted. The Guardians advanced, blades of energy cutting through stone and steel alike. Reynolds fought like a man possessed, unloading round after round, ducking and weaving as he drew their attention. Briggs joined him, his rifle barking fire. grenades exploding against alien armor. Each Guardian staggered, then reformed, relentless. Meanwhile, Carter and Miller sprinted to the nearest wall, tracing the shifting symbols with gloved hands. The carvings pulsed brighter at their touch, rearranging, demanding precision. Carter's voice shook. It's like a lock, a genetic key. The patterns respond to us, not them. Miller's scanner buzzed furiously. Almost there. Almost. Guardian broke through, swinging its blade toward Carter. Briggs didn't think. He charged, tackling her aside as the blade carved into the floor where she had stood. Pain shot through his shoulder as stone fragments tore his armor. He rolled to his feet, raising his rifle, but the Guardian towered over him, blade raised high. "Captain!" Carter screamed. Then the wall ignited. The symbols blazed with searing, white light. Energy surged through the chamber, rippling outward like a shockwave. The Guardians froze mid-strike, their bodies convulsing as the light pierced their forms. Their glowing eyes dimmed, flickering like dying stars. One by one they collapsed, not destroyed, but dormant, retreating into shadow and dissolving into the walls. Silence returned, broken only by the team's ragged breathing. Miller staggered back from the wall, sweat dripping inside his helmet. We did it." Carter's hands shook. Not destroyed, just paused. They were watching us, measuring us. Reynolds spat onto the floor. "Judging us, you mean? And if that was just the first test?" He shook his head. "We're screwed." Briggs steadied himself, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. His eyes locked on the glowing core still hovering above the dais. The sphere pulsed like a living heart, calm now, but waiting. "They're not going to stop," he said quietly. "Not until we prove ourselves, men or die trying." Carter looked at him, fear and awe mingling in her eyes. "Captain, do you realize what this means? We've stumbled into something older than human history, and they've been waiting for us." Miller swallowed hard. "Then the question is, what exactly are we proving? Strength? Intelligence? Morality?" Reynolds chambered another round, jaw tight. "Doesn't matter. If they come at me again, I'll show them exactly what humans are made of." Briggs didn't answer. His gaze lingered on the sphere. In the visions, the Guardians had judged civilizations far greater than humanity and destroyed them all. If Earth was truly the last seed, then this trial wasn't just about them. It was about the future of every human alive. And as the silence deepened, a new whisper slithered through the air, colder than before, carrying a promise rather than a threat. "The hunters have awoken." The chamber doors rumbled open once more, revealing a path deeper into the vault. Beyond, faint tremors shook the ground, as though something vast and ancient stirred in the dark. Briggs exhaled slowly, gripping his rifle. "On me, we move forward." Because in this place there was no turning back. The vault's tunnel stretched on endlessly, its walls etched with shifting light. The team advanced cautiously, weapons drawn, every sound amplified in the oppressive silence. Their helmets picked up low vibrations beneath the stone. Not machinery, but a heartbeat. Captain Nathaniel Briggs led the way, shoulder burning from the Guardian's strike. Behind him, Dr. Evelyn Carter scanned the walls. Lieutenant Mark Reynolds kept his rifle ready, and Chief Engineer Jacob Miller muttered over his instruments, eyes wide as his scanner struggled to process the data. "This place is alive," Miller whispered. "The whole structure. It's not just stone and metal, it's biomechanical, like the ruins are breathing." Carter shivered. Maybe it's more than ruins. Maybe it's waiting. They entered a massive chamber unlike any before. At its center rose a colossal obelisk, carved with spirals of light that shifted into symbols as they approached. Suspended within its core was a crystalline construct glowing faintly like frozen lightning. Carter's breath caught. "Captain, these markings, I've seen fragments of this pattern before, in human DNA." Briggs frowned. "Explain." She moved closer, tracing the symbols. "Our genome has always had sequences we couldn't fully explain. repeating codes that didn't serve biological function. We called them junk DNA. Her voice trembled. But this isn't junk. It's a lock, a message, and this is the key, Miller cursed under his breath. You're saying humans were designed? Engineered? Carter's eyes glistened as the obelisk flared brighter, resonating with their presence. Not designed from scratch, shaped, nurtured, as if someone planted the seed and let us grow. We're not just children of Earth. We're the legacy of something much older. Suddenly, the chamber shifted. The floor rippled, reshaping itself into a platform. Light exploded upward, projecting visions in the air. The crew staggered as holographic memories unfolded before them. They saw a galaxy, aflame with war. Countless species, brilliant and terrible, tearing each other apart with weapons that could unmake suns. In the chaos stood the same guardians, not enemies, but arbiters, carrying out the will of some unseen architects. Civilizations fell one after another, their ashes scattered into the void. Then came a shadow, vast, formless, devouring. The war was not only among themselves, but against something darker, a hunger that consumed both life and machine alike. The Guardians failed to stop it. Entire star systems vanished. And then, silence. From the ruins, a final act. A group of ancients gathered on a hidden world, forging a last gamble. They shaped a species from fragments of what had been lost, a species meant to endure, to rise again when the galaxy was ready. The vision ended with an image that made the crew's blood run cold. Earth. Reynolds broke the silence first, voice raw. You're telling me we're some kind of science project, just alien leftovers? No, Carter said softly, shaking her head. Her voice carried both fear and awe. We're their answer, their last hope. They believed we had what others lacked. Maybe resilience, maybe adaptability, something that made us different. Miller's voice cracked. Or maybe we're just bait. A final experiment in a galaxy that already failed. Briggs stood still, staring at the dying light of the projection. His throat tightened, but he forced his voice steady. Doesn't matter why they made us. What matters is what we do now. As if responding to his words, the obelisk pulsed again. A new panel slid open at its base, revealing a crystalline shard humming with energy. Carter stepped forward, trembling. It's reacting to our presence, she whispered. Specifically, to you, Captain. Briggs frowned. Me? Yes. The shard isn't resonating with me or Miller. It's locked onto your genetic signature. Maybe leadership, maybe instinct, and whatever they built into us, you're triggering it. The shard floated upward, embedding itself in Briggs's chest plate like a living flame. His HUD flared with alien symbols. His mind flooded with sudden clarity. Maps, coordinates, a beacon pointing deeper into the vault. He staggered, clutching his helmet. I can see it. Another chamber. A core. Reynolds grabbed his arm. Captain, with all due respect, that thing just turned you into a damn receiver. We don't know what it's doing to you. Briggs steadied himself, eyes burning with something he couldn't explain. I know exactly what it's doing. It's showing us the next trial. The ground shuddered violently. Stone cracked, walls split, and the chamber roared with a deafening hum. The Guardians' voices echoed from every direction, whispering like 1,000 knives. The seed awakens, the test continues. Carter looked around in terror. They know we've unlocked it. From the fissures in the walls, liquid light poured, shaping into new forms. Not the humanoid Guardians this time, but massive beasts. Quadrupedal constructs plated in obsidian, eyes blazing like suns. Hunters built for pursuit. Reynolds cursed and raised his rifle. Guess we're about to find out if their precious little experiment can fight back. Briggs stepped forward, shard burning in his chest, rifle steady in his hands. Then we'll show them what humans are made of. The hunters roared, and the chamber became a battlefield. The chamber shook as the hunters advanced, obsidian claws tearing trenches in the stone floor. Each step reverberated like thunder, echoing down the corridors beyond. Captain Nathaniel Briggs tightened his grip on his rifle, the alien shard glowing hot against his chest plate. The pulsing light synced with his heartbeat, urging him to move, to run. "Back to the ship," he barked. "Now!" Lieutenant Reynolds unleashed a volley of gunfire, bullets sparking against armored hides. The beast staggered but didn't stop. Reynolds snarled, "Bullets aren't doing a damn thing." Dr. Carter yanked Briggs toward the exit tunnel. "The shard's guiding you. It wants us out of here. Move!" The team sprinted through the collapsing corridor, their boots pounding stone as the hunters roared behind them. Chunks of ceiling rained down. Pillars crumbled. One beast crashed through a wall, cutting them off. Its glowing eyes locked onto Briggs as though the shard inside him was the only target that mattered. Miller raised a plasma cutter, screaming, "Over here, you bastard!" He fired a beam into the creature's face, searing through armor. The beast shrieked, thrashing wildly. "Go!" Miller shouted, voice cracking. "I'll slow it down." Briggs grabbed his arm, dragging him back. Nobody gets left behind. Together they sprinted as the beast writhed in fury. The shard pulsed harder. Suddenly the corridor shifted, walls folding like origami, revealing a new passage. Carter gasped. "It's opening the path for us, or hurting us," Reynolds muttered, firing blind shots at the shadows. The team plunged through the new tunnel, the ground sloping upward. The roars behind them grew louder, closer. Their HUDs flickered as alien signals interfered with systems. Then, a glimmer of light ahead. "The surface!" Briggs shouted. They burst out onto the night-scorched plain of Kepler 442b. Above them, the alien sky burned with twin moons. In the distance, their ship, the Horizon, gleamed under the stars. "Almost there," Carter cried. The hunters exploded from the tunnel, claws tearing soil as they sprinted across the plain with terrifying speed. Reynolds spun mid-run, launching grenades. Explosions lit the night, throwing fire and smoke. For a moment, the hunters vanished in the chaos. "Go, go, go!" Briggs pushed them forward, lungs burning. The team scrambled up the boarding ramp as the Horizon systems roared online. Miller slammed his palm onto the control pad, sealing the hatch just as a hunter crashed against it, claws screeching across reinforced metal. Inside, alarms blared. "Engines at 50%. Miller gasped, fingers flying across controls. "We need time!" The ship shuddered as another hunter leapt onto its hull, denting armor. "Shake them off!" Briggs ordered. Reynolds manned the turret, unleashing bursts of plasma fire. The beams tore into the hunter's back, blasting it into the dust. But more clawed their way up the ramp, pounding at the sealed hatch. Carter's voice trembled. "If they breach, they won't," Briggs snapped, though doubt gnawed at him. The shard pulsed violently, flooding his HUD with alien symbols. Then the ship's console flared with the same symbols. Syncing. Systems Briggs had never seen. Before lit up, Miller froze. "Captain, the shard's interfacing with the ship. It's overriding me." Briggs clenched his fists. "Let it. If it wants us to survive, then we use it." The engines roared, surging with power far beyond design specs. The Horizon blasted off the ground, tearing into the alien sky. Hunters leapt after them, claws snapping inches from the hull before gravity hurled them back. The ship broke atmosphere, streaking into the void. But there was no relief. As the stars spread before them, the shard flared again. This time brighter than ever. A wave of energy rippled out from the Horizon, invisible to human eyes but resonating across the stars. Carter stared at the sensors, her face pale. "Captain, we just broadcast a signal. It's massive, wideband, deep space." Reynolds cursed. "Great, we're sending out invitations now?" Miller's voice was hollow. "This wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. The shard, it's calling something." Briggs stared out the viewport at the endless void, a weight pressing on his chest. "Then whatever it is, it's coming here." Silence fell across the cabin. The team's breaths came heavy, the hum of alien power still coursing through the ship. Outside, the stars felt closer, sharper as though something vast was already listening. Carter whispered, "If humans really are the last seed, then maybe that signal wasn't just a call." Briggs turned to her, jaw set. "Then what? Was it?" Her eyes met his, haunted but certain. "A test, to see if the galaxy remembers us." The shard pulsed once more, steady, patient, waiting. Far away, in the endless dark, something stirred. The horizon drifted in the black silence of space, its engines cooling after the desperate escape. Inside, the crew barely spoke, each lost in their own thoughts. The shard embedded in Captain Nathaniel Briggs's armor pulsed like a second heart, casting faint ripples of light across the cabin. Dr. Evelyn Carter broke the silence, her voice tight. "The signal hasn't stopped, it's still transmitting, stronger now, like a beacon." Chief Engineer Miller hunched over the console, scanning furiously. "It's not just broadcasting, it's syncing with something. Coordinates, frequencies I can't even read. Whatever it called, it's already on its way." Lieutenant Reynolds gripped his rifle. Though weapons meant nothing in the vacuum of space. "I don't care what it is. If it comes near us, we blow it apart." Briggs didn't answer. He stared out the viewport at the ocean of stars. A feeling deep in his bones told him Reynolds was wrong. This wasn't something you could kill. Hours passed. The void was still. Then the stars shifted. No, not shifted. Blotted out. A shape unfolded against the black, so vast it seemed to stretch across eternity. At first it was invisible, cloaked in the dark, but as it drew closer, its outline became clear. A vessel, larger than any human mind could fathom, its hull alive with rivers of light. Carter's voice dropped to a whisper. "Oh my God." The ship was a city, a cathedral, a living monument. It glided without sound, gravity itself bending around it. Entire mountains could fit inside its frame, yet it moved with impossible grace. Miller's console screamed with readings. That thing's mass is off the scale. It's not even moving through space, Captain. It's folding it, sliding reality aside like a curtain." Reynolds swore under his breath. "We're ants staring at a god." The horizon trembled as beams of soft light lanced out from the colossal vessel, enveloping them. No heat, no pain, just weightless suspension. The ship was held like an insect in amber. Briggs's shard burned hot. Alien symbols flared across his HUD. His pulse matched the rhythm until his vision blurred, and suddenly, he was there. The void dissolved. Briggs stood on a vast plain of light, stars wheeling above like living eyes. Before him towered figures, not physical, but projections. They were tall, luminous, faceless, their forms rippling between flesh and energy. One spoke, though its voice was not sound but resonance in his skull. "The seed has awakened. At last." Briggs's throat tightened. "Who are you?" "We are what remains, witnesses of the old war, custodians of judgment." Images flashed, galaxies burning, guardians enforcing order, and then silence. "We scattered the seed. You are its fruit. Humanity." Briggs's fists clenched. "Why us? Why make us at all?" "Because all others failed." The vision deepened. Briggs saw flashes of ancient species, brilliant and powerful, tearing each other apart. Their pride, their greed, their hunger, and all-consuming. Even the greatest fell to chaos. You were made to endure, to adapt, to resist extinction where others surrendered to it. Now the test begins. Briggs shook his head. "We didn't ask for this. We're just people, flawed, angry, afraid." The figures leaned closer, their light pressing against him. "Exactly. And yet you survived when others perished. That is why you are here." Back on the horizon, Carter, Miller, and Reynolds watched in terror as Briggs stood frozen, the shard blazing like a star in his chest. "Captain," Carter shouted, shaking him, but his eyes were distant, unfocused. Miller checked the readings. "He's linked. The ship's systems, hell, the alien ship itself. are communicating through him. Reynolds cursed. So they're talking. To him, but not us? Great. Just great. Inside the vision, the figure spoke again. We will not decide for you. Humanity must prove its worth. Alone. The stars wheeled faster. Suddenly Briggs saw Earth, blue, fragile, floating in the void. Then he saw fire consuming it, shadows blotting it out. He dropped to his knees. No! Leave them out of this! The voices answered like thunder. The fate of your world is bound to your choices. Pass the trial and you inherit the legacy of the stars. Fail, and humanity joins the silence of the void. The vision shattered. Briggs collapsed to the deck of the Horizon, gasping. The shard dimmed but remained embedded in his chest plate. Carter knelt beside him, eyes wide. What did you see? Briggs swallowed hard, staring out at the alien vessel that still loomed like a god across the stars. They're not here to save us, he whispered. They're here to test us. Reynolds' jaw tightened. And if we fail? Briggs met, his eyes, the weight of a galaxy pressing on his words. Then Earth burns. The colossal vessel remained outside, silent and patient, as though waiting for humanity's answer. And deep in the void, something darker stirred, the same shadow that had consumed the ancients, moving once more toward the light of a fragile blue world. The alien vessel loomed in silence, an ancient judge suspended among the stars. Its rivers of light pulsed like veins, waiting. Inside the Horizon, the crew sat in tense silence. Captain Nathaniel Briggs stared at the shard embedded in his chest plate. Its glow had dimmed to a steady rhythm like a ticking clock. A countdown. Dr. Evelyn Carter broke the silence. They won't wait forever. Whatever trial they've set for us, and it's already begun. Lieutenant Reynolds gripped his rifle, even though it was useless here. I don't care what they want. If they think they can decide the fate of Earth, they can shove it. Chief Engineer Miller glanced up from the console, face pale. Captain, I'm reading a massive gravitational disturbance at the edge of the system. Something's coming. Through. The shard pulsed harder. Briggs felt the answer before Miller said it aloud. They've unleashed it, Briggs whispered. The shadow that ended the ancients. The viewports darkened as the Horizon systems magnified the disturbance. Space itself twisted, stars bending like glass. From the tear emerged a darkness so vast it seemed endless. Not a ship, not a fleet, but a living void. Tendrils of black energy writhed outward, devouring starlight. Carter's breath caught. That's what destroyed them. The hunger. The alien vessel stirred at last. Its rivers of light blazed, weapons awakening. Not against the humans, but against the shadow. Beams of searing energy lanced out, carving through the void. For a moment, the darkness recoiled. Then it adapted. The tendrils thickened, absorbing the light. The alien vessel, colossal as it was, faltered. They can't hold it off, Briggs realized. That's the test. We have to finish it. Reynolds exploded. Finish it? With what, pea shooters and duct tape? That thing eats stars. But Carter was staring at the shard. Not with weapons, with him. Everyone turned to Briggs. She continued, voice trembling. The shard chose you, Captain. It synced with the ship. The visions, the beacon. It was all building to this moment. Humanity's trial isn't to run or hide. It's to stand and fight when no one else can. Miller checked his readings, disbelief in his voice. If we channel the shard's energy through the Horizon's core, we could amplify it. But Captain, it won't just drain the ship. It'll drain you. Briggs looked out at the shadow, swallowing the stars. He thought of Earth, oceans, forests, children who would never know why the sky went dark. If this was the price of proving humanity's worth, he would pay it. He met his crew's eyes. Set it up. The ship shuddered as Miller rerouted the systems. Lights dimmed, consoles flickered, and the shard flared like a newborn sun. Briggs screamed as energy coursed through him, burning veins of fire into his body. His mind filled with visions, not of death, but of humanity's history, fire in caves, Spears raised against beasts, ships crossing oceans, rockets piercing the heavens, billions of voices crying, fighting, loving, enduring. The shards spoke with their chorus, prove them wrong, endure. The Horizon's hull blazed with alien glyphs as energy surged. The ship became a beacon brighter than a star. Target locked, Miller shouted over the roar. Briggs forced his burning hands onto the controls. His voice cracked but steady. For Earth, the Horizon unleashed its fury. A beam of pure white light erupted from the ship, piercing the void. It struck the shadow's core, cutting through layers of writhing dark. The hunger screamed, a sound that rattled the bones of creation. It lashed, back tendrils slamming into the Horizon. Metal screamed, systems failed, but Briggs held on, pouring every ounce of will into the shard. Not today, he roared. The beam intensified, fed not just by the shard, but by the humans aboard, their determination fueling it. Carter whispered prayers. Reynolds growled defiance. Miller wept but held the system steady. Together they became more than a crew. They became humanity's answer. The shadow cracked. Light split it apart, unraveling its endless hunger. With one final scream, it imploded, collapsing into silence. When the light faded, the Horizon drifted, crippled but alive. Smoke filled the cabin, alarm screamed, and Briggs slumped in his chair unconscious, the shard dim and lifeless. Carter rushed to him, pressing fingers to his neck. He's alive, but barely. Outside, the colossal alien vessel moved closer. Its rivers of light dimmed to a calm glow. For the first time it bowed, a gesture of respect. A voice echoed in their minds. The seed endures. Humanity has passed. Then, like mist in sunlight, the vessel vanished, folding out of reality and leaving only stars behind. The Horizon limped toward Earth, guided by the shard's fading coordinates. Briggs stirred awake, his voice hoarse. Did we? Carter smiled through tears. We did, Reynolds chuckled bitterly. Yeah, Captain. We saved the galaxy with duct tape after all. Miller sat back, exhausted, but a spark of pride in his eyes. Maybe that's what makes us human. Briggs gazed out at the stars, the weight of what they had done pressing heavy on his chest. They had survived the test. But survival wasn't victory. It was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, more shadows might wait, more trials. But for now, Earth had a future, and humanity had earned its place among the stars.